Hello, my lovely listeners. I'm Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns. Welcome to this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. Good morning, gorgeous listeners. It's Dr. Lucy here, and I am joined as ever by my beautiful, compassionate crusader, Dr. Mary Barson. Good morning, Mary. How are you, darling?
I'm feeling very crusadey today. Thank you very much. Yes, I really am. We're doing this low carb roadshow at the moment, and my talk that I'm presenting is about, what is real health. And I have a bit of a vulnerability moment where I, share my story and share how important self-compassion has been for my health journey, and how breaking free from shame with courage, connection, community has helped me in my health journey. But more than that, I even just talk about what actually is health. What is it? What is healthy?
Absolutely. And I think that's really important because, the word healthy gets bandied about by all sorts of people and all sorts of vested interest groups who are selling you things in the aid of, health or whatever. So, I'd love to know what the definition of health is. And I know you've done research on this, Mare, so let's share it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, health means different things to different people. The WHO, in their infinite wisdom, has certainly attempted to define health. And they define health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And I like this statement for many reasons. It sort of talks about health being this holistic thing, as we are people that live within our families, within our society, within the world, and also that it doesn't mention weight, which I like, because for many in recent decades, health and weight have become intricately linked, and that we humans are in this strange position where there is a cultural obsession with thinness. There is an epidemic of metabolic disease, of which weight gain is a common symptom. And there is an enormous amount of sort of fat politics and emphasis on weight as the main determinant for health. And at the same time, there are so many moving parts to this. We are victim to this ludicrous food politics where we've got invested interests from the food industry, directing the evidence that we use for our dietary guidelines, and we're being told that, we should eat, grains and certain processed foods, and that up and go sugar, seed oils, it can have 5-star health rating. Industry just sees us as consumerism units. They're not particularly interested in our health, and yet they are being able to dictate what is healthy. So we've got food politics, we've got fat politics, we've got thin is beautiful, thin is healthy going on in the middle of what we are calling this, obesity epidemic. We're in a strange place.
Absolutely. And do you know what I would also just throw in there as a little side is the environment politics. So you've got processed food companies hijacking that storyline by saying don't eat particularly meat because it's so damaging to the environment. And instead they're saying eat plant-based, basically eat my fake meat vegan food, which is just complete trash for our body. And it's so interesting, the idea that processed food companies, again, largely, their job is to make money.
They're not interested in our health or the environment particularly, but they'll hijack a narrative to help them make money.
Absolutely. And they will use what is essentially waste products from other things and work out how can I incorporate this into some food. And it's astounding that we've all fallen for it.
Yeah, I mean, they're not necessarily saying, it's a simple story. It sounds good, doesn't it? Meat is bad for the environment. It sounds good. It sounds simple. That cows make methane and therefore they're the reason why we've got rising sea lines. It sounds very good, but the processed food industry isn't telling us to grow our own veggies in the backyard and to, be shelling our own broad beans and eating those. They're telling us that we should eat, soy-based fake plant products that, they strip the Amazon to farm and that are multiply processed with seed oils and other chemicals and that are shipped across the world with countless air miles. That somehow is better for the environment. No, it is. I mean, it's a simple line. Meat is bad, plant-based is good, but like so many things, it's in the details, it's in the nuances where the truth actually lies. And to just, health wash or greenwash the truth away happens quite frequently. And in fact, in a proper food system, which actually exists in many parts of the world, perhaps not the American food system. That's, got some significant challenges with regards to its environment.
Fairly buggered.
That's right. But certainly, like here in Australia, we grow cattle and lamb on land that is not particularly arable for other reasons, that they are in fact carbon neutral in the way that they are farmed, even if we're not talking about ultra boutique organic regenerative farming and we're just talking about normal farming, then meat is a very healthy part of our food system and also very nutritious. So yes, things aren't as simple as we might like to believe, just as the simple story of just eat less and move more and you'll be thin isn't true either. That health washes away the details to a point where it is just plain wrong. So the health story, the environmental story is more complex, and to be honest, I think that many of us are being lied to.
Yes, absolutely. And on top of that environmental story is the idea, and nobody's actually talking about this particularly, is that illness is very harsh on the environment. If you go to hospital, and, please, if you do need to go to hospital, go.
Go to hospital.
But sick care, which is really what hospitals are. They're about looking after sick people. It's, there's a lot of environmental waste that comes with that. And it's part of how we do, I guess, health business these days with infection control and those sorts of things. But if you're worried about the environment, the very, very best thing you can do for yourself is focus on your own health by eating whole, real food and not getting stuck into this narrative or trapped in this narrative that if you eat beef, you're somehow going to be destroying the Amazon and giving yourself bowel cancer.
Yeah. They're fascinating stories. If you were just, choosing to be vegetarian and eating, your broad beans and your whole foods, it would be a very different story. But that doesn't make much money for industry because they can't really value add whole foods. This is the problem. From their point of view, if we are individual consumerism units and not actually human beings, which is what we are to the industry, even they are morally bound to make money and legally bound to make money for their shareholders. They are not morally or legally bound to look after our health. So I'm not saying that they're made up of evil individuals, but collectively what they do is exceedingly unhelpful for the human race, that you can't value add whole foods. So there's not much money in, getting people to eat some beans or a piece of fish, but there is money in getting people to eat ultra-processed soy-based, plant-based mince something and fish fingers. That's where the money is for them, but not where the health is for us.
Absolutely. And processed food means that you can also add things into it that will make it hyperpalatable. So in particular, we know that sugar, salt and fat, there's a sweet spot, a combination spot called the bliss spot. And this is why, in particular, America has sugar in their bread. So not only do they have the carbohydrates from all the wheat flour, they add sugar because our palate adapts to the sweetness. And we want more and more. And it's a bit like that concept of supersizing things. Macca's aren't being generous with giving you bigger portions for less money. They do it because the more you eat, the more you want. It's so insidious and so sneaky. And we all fall for it, because why would you buy 300 mils of Coke when you can buy 600 mils for way less than double the price? Again, we fall into marketing it's just cleverness, isn't it, as far as marketing goes?
It is. That they can make more money from that because their main costs are with their labour and not with the super duper cheap ingredients that they put in their food, so they can sell us bigger portions for a bit more money. We think we're getting a bargain, but in actual fact, we're not. Yes, food politics, fat politics. We are in a strange place indeed, and it becomes quite difficult to navigate, I think, health, and that the concept of being healthy has become exceedingly complicated to the point where many people believe that it has to be complicated and perhaps even unattainable. But I think that if we strip it back to some pretty straightforward principles, health can be simple. It really can be simple.
Excellent. I'd love to hear this simplicity.
Yeah. We are complicated, as I like to say, having been a biochemist in my past, I've never fully given it up, that I just love this fact that life, like the cells, even the world's most simple bacterium, is the most complicated structure in the known universe. A single cell is the most complex structure that we know of in the entire universe. All of those smart people out there studying astrophysics, there is nothing more complex than life. We are incredibly biochemically complex, and it's beautiful, thermodynamically improbable. I just love it. So we're complex, but we are also simple. We really are also simple. If you can remove the blocks that are stopping us from our bodies naturally being in a normal and healthy balance, like the normal biochemistry that would just tick over as it has for 3.5 billion years, because that is how old life is on Earth. If you sort of remove the things that are preventing us from being in a nice balance, we will naturally and normally get back into a healthy balance. And this stuff is simple. It's not necessarily easy to implement, but it is simple. And it's real food. Think nature. Think about what is the natural food that we as a species evolved to eat. And it's natural plants, fruits, nuts, veggies, meat, fish, seafood, eggs, these natural foods that have not been value added in a factory making money for a processed food company. Simple, natural food. Sleep. We're meant to sleep. Relax. We're meant to spend time with our friends. Drink water. You do these things and you can get into a much healthier balance.
Absolutely. And interestingly, humans are not meant to sit as much as we all sit.
She says, sitting down, doing a podcast, feeling a need to stand up right now.
But again, if you think about it, and also, and I'm going to add in stretching. So if you're a dog or a cat, even a horse, if you've been lying down, when you get up, you stretch. Humans just get up and walk. It's like we're so disconnected from our bodies that we hardly ever stretch now.
I can feel at the moment because I spend so much time carrying a baby in my front. I've really noticed that there's like a little hunching to my shoulders that I'm becoming aware of, and I'm trying to do something about it. But yes, certainly, I spent a bit of time leaning over. Movement. Absolute movement is natural and normal, and lack of movement in a really literal sense adversely affects our biochemistry. And when it's not just about burning calories, I think being still is literally, for a long period of time, is inflammatory to our bodies. And getting up and moving is anti-inflammatory and helps our cells tick over, helps our energy generation, helps our cellular health, helps our bone health, our muscle health, our mental health. All of these things are improved by movement.
Absolutely. So I think, it's that tricky thing that, again, going back to what we were talking about last week, is that for many of us, and in particular women of my generation and beyond, we never looked at any of this as part of health. It was always just part of getting thin, part of getting the perfect body. And moving away from that narrative and back into health, and recognizing also health doesn't have a picture. Like, in fact, we use that phrase, a picture of health, whatever that means. But, you know, you can be in a bigger body and be extremely healthy.
Yes, you can. And you can be in a smaller body and not be extremely healthy. Yet weight is not the single determinant for health. And yet, unfortunately, weight is often a major focus for the health industry as sort of part of the fat politics that, you know, that being overweight is the danger. Being overweight is, you know, threatening every single organ system in your body. Being overweight is an emergency, and that weight loss at any cost, very low energy diets, you know, weight loss medications and pharmacotherapy, bariatric surgery, all of these things are justified because you need to get thin quickly, thin soon. Thin is the priority, because if you're overweight, you're unhealthy. Because that really misses it actually misses the point entirely. Weight loss at any cost misses the point entirely. I'm going to insert another little point here. If you are on weight loss medications, or you have had or are contemplating weight loss surgery, I'm not saying that that's necessarily a wrong thing to do. However, I will say that weight loss at any cost, when you're focused on the number on the scales, or, you know, potentially even more unhealthily focused on a particular aesthetic, that is psychologically dangerous and almost always physiologically dangerous, as it results in decreased metabolic rate, yo-yo dieting, which is not at all a trivial consequence. That is quite significant for our health. Weight loss at any cost totally misses the point, because, as we said before, you can be heavier and be healthier. You can be lighter and be unhealthier. It's not the weight as such as it is your metabolic health.
Exactly. And weight, if your body is storing some more fat, again, there's a threshold in which storing excess fat becomes unhealthy because it affects the way your cells function. But it's really interesting to me. I was talking to, again, another one of our beautiful members who has migraines. She has recently changed her health. She's improved her metabolic rate. She had type 2 diabetes, which is currently in remission. So her, you know, hemoglobin A1C, which is our way we measure diabetes, is now normal. She has lost a significant amount of weight, around 12 to 15 kilos. However, she's still in what would be considered a bigger body, and she still has migraines. So the solution, her neurologist just tried a number of things, and the only thing he's come back to her and said, well, we've tried everything, you need to lose more weight. And it's like, no, I don't actually think the migraines have anything to do with her weight. So the medical profession can also blame weight on all sorts of conditions that have got actually nothing to do with it. Now, there's a slight little, I'm just going to do a slight little sidestep there, and to say that there is a condition called intracranial hypertension, benign intracranial hypertension, which does give headaches. They are not migraines. And there is some evidence to suggest that weight loss in its own right will help those headaches. But general, just, you know, dare I call them run-of-the-mill, because for anybody that has migraines, no, they are far from run-of-the-mill. But run-of-the-mill migraines have got nothing to do with your weight.
Yeah, and she's got all this amazing internal health and metabolic healing, which is being missed and glossed over because some particular number on a scale or a particular aesthetic has not yet been reached. So this is potentially physically and psychologically dangerous. You know, I don't look like a fitness model. I don't. And for much of my life, I thought that because I didn't look like a fitness model, I was therefore unacceptable. Getting up on the stage at the roadshow and, you know, sharing my story, sharing my expertise, sharing what I have to say about health, weight management is actually is confronting. I do it. But there is that little voice in my head saying, sit down and shut up. You've got no right to talk about this because you don't have ripped abs. And so, even for me, many years later, even though I'm healing from shame around my body, healing from feeling that I have to have this perfect aesthetic to be worthy, it's still there. The voice is still in my head. But what I have, apart from my story and my expertise, what I have, which makes me feel like I can, get up there and have a right to talk, is that I am healthy on the inside where it counts. I actually think I look fine as well. So just going to put that out there. But also, I'm healthy on the inside.
Absolutely. And we love that phrase, as Dr. James Mukey, who was Australian of the Year in 2020, so aptly coined. The acronym for healthy on the inside is a hottie.
I'm a total hottie, as are you, Dr. Lucy.
Absolutely. And that's what we all want to be. Just want to be hotties.
Hotties.
Hotties live their life. They're not hampered by ill health. They're not tired. They're not exhausted. They're not having to have a little nap in the afternoon. They're not relying on external, energy drinks to give them the energy to get through the day. Hotties are not just existing, they're thriving.
Living. That's right. I take my beautiful hottie body out there and just live my life, celebrate all the cool things it can do and all the cool places it takes me, and all the wonderful adventures I can do with it, rather than being hung up on how it looks, feeling that I need to hide it away, or lamenting all of the things that it can't do.
Absolutely. And for those of, you lovely listeners who have seen me in the flesh, you will know I have a significant disability. I actually can't walk very far. So there's some functions in my body that I go, it'd be nice to be able to walk. That would be nice. But it's actually, there are things that I can do. There are aids that I use to enable me to still live my life.
And you do cool stuff, Lucy.
Yeah, I do cool stuff. I mean, and look, to be honest, it took me some while to get over the idea that, there was an identity as being a person with a disability, this idea of like, I don't want to look like a disabled person, which is interesting because that narrative is all about, well, what's going on there? And it's about that acceptability. Disabled people aren't unacceptable. Disabled people are different. Disabled people, stand out. Disabled people aren't as good. So having to challenge that, and I didn't even realise I had that narrative. It really wasn't, again, but yeah, now I recognise it and go, actually, that's just a bit of bullshit. Disabled people are acceptable. They have a lot to offer the community, a lot of value. And so, you know what? Part of my discomfort is actually getting up on stage at the Low Carb Roadshow on my scooter and normalising mobility aids.
And you are a legit, absolute rock star with quite apart from getting out there and normalising your mobility aids and doing stuff, but just what you do, Lucy. You are brave, you are strong, you get out there, you share your expertise, you share your story, you share what you have to help people. It's wonderful.
As do you, gorgeous woman, as do you.
If I'm normalising a slightly rounded belly and jiggly thighs, you're normalising mobility aids. Yeah.
But you know what? They are normal.
They are normal. It's totally normal.
We don't and can't all look like supermodels.
It would be boring if we did.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's to the normal hotties.
Yes, to the normal hotties. Absolutely. Go us.
Yeah, go us. And go all of you, all of our beautiful listeners, go you, go out, be normal, be a hottie, and just look after your beautiful selves and live the best life that you can.
Could not agree more.
Gorgeous ones, as you all know, the 12-week Mind Body Rebalance closed last week, but we have a little bonus, again, for people that either weren't able to purchase or missed out, we have something called the bonus bundle. It is all the bonuses that we offered with the 12-week Mind-Body Rebalance and includes the doctor's complete guide to low-carb living, along with our masterclasses, the how to stop after dinner snacking, meditation and hypnotherapy. It's an absolute steal at 297 Australian dollars. It's worth well and truly over $750. So lovelies, this bundle is available just for a couple of weeks in June as celebration of our third year. Real Life Medicine has just turned 3 and we are very proud of what we've done, and we, you know, as part of blowing our own trumpet, because that's what we encourage everyone to do, toot your trumpet, we're tooting ours.
Yep. So this bundle has got, you know, pretty much everything you need to transform yourself into a hottie.
Indeed. All right, hotties, we'll see you next week.
See ya.
So, my lovely listeners, that ends this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. I'm Dr. Lucy Burns.
And I'm Dr. Mary Barson. We're from Real Life Medicine. To contact us, please visit rlmedicine.com.
And until next time, thanks for listening.
The information shared on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only. It is not a substitute, nor is it intended to provide individualised medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor can it be construed as such. Please consult your doctor for any medical concerns.